Welcome back to Northman Reviews, and I'm already sick of my goddamn cat. Oh, he just jumped into a box. Should we look at Rusty in a box? Rusty in a box. How cute, right? Anyway, here we are back looking at Factor X number 2. This is the second phase of the Age of Apocalypse that I'm looking through. I was doing them in a certain order of just whatever I'd liked, but then I actually looked up, as I was looking through some of the later issues. Oh, that's Rusty making that noise in that box. As I was looking through later issues, I saw that like things would happen in one book that would affect the other. So I went and found like kind of a unofficial reading order. So we're going with Factor X at this point. I like this comic more than I thought I originally did. I really only had the first issue when I was growing up, but I like the concept of looking at the situation of like from the villain's perspective, so to say, in Apocalypse Citadel. So Cyclops, and he's kind of the main focus of this book, and he's supposed to be a villain. He shot Wolverine's eye out. He's the son of Mr. Sinister. He works for Apocalypse and all that. But as you see, especially in this issue, he has more of a good nature and a good heart than especially that of his asshole younger brother, which is rarely the case. Usually the older brothers are the assholes. So Steve Epting does the pencils, and I'm liking more and more of his art. John Francis Moore is the writer. With Steve Epting as the penciler, like I said in the last one, I don't know, I kind of see a little bit of myself in his art. It's hard to describe, and maybe no one else will see it, but there's certain things that he does. I'm like, I do that, but I was never really influenced by him when I was younger. I didn't have a lot of books with his art. It was a lot of Jim Lee, a lot of Joe Mad, Mark Silvestri, J. Scott Campbell, who else? I'm sure there are others, but he was never one that I really looked at or admired too much, but I'm kind of digging it now. So here we go. We're looking at some weird, creepy laboratory scientific shit. These weird brains in these bubbles, and it goes on to explain how Mr. Sinister engineered this thing with 6 telepaths, powerful telepath brains, which basically anesthetize the prisoners to make sure they don't escape. But a few of them tend to be immune to it. And this is kind of what we're seeing here. And there's some people trying to escape. Tommy Chang, Samantha Dupree. Am I supposed to know those names? I might. But it says, time is short, follow me. And like it has this weird image of what looks like Magneto. And this woman, she looks up and she's like, oh my gosh, it's you. And there's Magneto. But you can see he's kind of faded, so it doesn't seem like he's actually there. So what is kind of going on? But Magneto's hair, and he's helping to, free these people from the pens or this prison that they have here. And she's like, wait, no, you have to take me too. He's like, I'd take you all if I could, but it's too risky, basically. And he says, I'm sorry, but I don't know you, so you have to say. And she's like, how can you say that? Don't you recognize me? I'm your daughter. And with the hair, the green hair, we can guess that this is Lorna Dane Polaris, who she's supposed to be. Like, at one point, it was thought of that she was Magneto's daughter because she also has magnetic powers, but I don't think she is. I mean, it's established in this book later that she is definitely not, so I'm assuming she isn't in the Prime universe. But for some weird reason, she thinks she is. So, is she kind of hallucinating? The answer is yes. But this is kind of weird, this weird tangent. I don't know how they could realize that, except in the printing, but her foot kind of goes into this weird, onto this other page when it's not supposed to. And this is like the top of the door right here with his cape flowing through. It's just kind of funny right there. But I like all the detail up in here, the poses that they have them in. Good stuff. So, and I like that Factor X, since it comes out of X Factor, it mostly focuses on characters that were in the original X Factor comics with the original team plus the newer team too. So obviously you got Cyclops, Jean Grey shows up, Beast is in this, and Angel. They were original members of X Factor. Then you got Havok and Polaris. They're the newer members of X Factor, along with some others that we see in other books. So, anyways, so later you got Cyclops and Havok here, and they're walking up to big bad motherfucker Apocalypse, who just likes to hang out on a throne and on top of skulls. Because like when your name is Apocalypse, what else the fuck are you gonna do? Play checkers with somebody? What does he do in his free time? Just hangs out by himself? Does he eat? Does he like get in the mood for like Doritos or something? I've always wondered about that with some of these more evil characters. Like, can you imagine them being like, oh fuck, I'm hungry, or shit, man, I ate too many burritos and now I got like diarrhea all night. That's things I think about. But anyways, they're coming to talk to him about Mr. Sinister, who has disappeared and his laboratory was destroyed. Basically, they know Mr. Sinister's defecting or something. They're not quite sure what's going on, but Sinister has betrayed them. And Apocalypse is just here talking about how awesome he is, how dangerous he is, and I am an Apocalypse, I endure. And Cyclops like, yeah, well, we shouldn't underestimate him. He has a lot of knowledge that could probably hurt us. And Apocalypse, he's kind of like impressed with Cyclops, not like cowering down to him and his like rage. And he's like, you stand your ground. No wonder Sinister spoke highly of you. And he says, if you continue this kind of behavior, you might take your mentor's place as a horseman. So Cyclops might be the next horseman instead of Sinister. And he's like, whatever you will, my lord. And Havok's like pissed off. Like, he's super jelly of Cyclops here. And he just wants whatever he has. And he gets mad at Cyclops for being handed all this stuff. And he doesn't realize that he's just like a little fuck twat in this universe. And he doesn't really deserve anything. So he's like, okay, whatever. Like, keep doing your jobs. I'll be watching. And then Havok's like, you can count on me. And he's like, shut up. Just get the fuck out of here. Audience is ended. Get out. So they go off on their motor bicycles. And Havok is complaining. He's like, you always get everything. And he's like, I never asked for it. Don't worry about it. Just kind of being a little, like, prissy little bitch. And then Cyclops pulls rank on him a little bit. It's like, I need a report. And he's like, just tell me, because it's your job. Havok's getting mad. He's like, you treat me like a child. And he's like, I deserve to be a horseman. If I have to kill you to prove it, I will. So that's already, we're seeing how fucking nuts Havok is. There's no redeeming qualities to this dude. So he goes and he checks on the Guthries, and he's mad at them for the escape that happened earlier in the book. But the guy who saved them has a field scrambler, so they can't see who it is as he like rescues these two people. But they notice the one with the green hair, that she was there talking to him, so she might be able to give them some information. So they go and get her. She's still in the pens. They pick her up. Cool shot of how tall is she? She must be pretty tall. And she keeps saying like, "Oh, he's, they're like, who rescued them?" I'm just kind of reading how like Havok introduces himself and tells her his name is Alex, but I'm going to get to that in a second. But she says, it was my father. And like, yeah, who's your father, though? And it's like, it's Magneto. And he gets pissed. He hits her in the face. Like, don't lie to me. He's not your father. And she lashes out with her magnetic powers. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? We didn't know she still had any kind of powers at all. So we're like, well, because we didn't know that, let's take her and give her to Beast, who's fucking crazy and insane, doing all sorts of crazy experiments. So they give her up to him. Oh man, they start arguing for some reason. They hook her up to a machine, and they're like, "Why does she think that Magneto is her father?" And it's like, "Cause she's crazy." This dog barks. It says Worf. Like, Worf is my favorite character from Star Trek. But for somehow, I think they put this little gadget on her head, so they get some images from her mind to see her past. And it talks about her parents were humans and they were killed, and at that moment, her powers manifested, and her mind couldn't really take it. So she created this reality that Magneto is her father because of her magnetic powers, and her parents are dead. It led to dementia and an uneasy alliance with another mutant, where this is Rogue. And for some reason, I don't think this shows it anywhere in any other books, but Rogue touches Polaris here, drains half her powers. So Rogue now has magnetic abilities like hers, not nearly as powerful as Magneto, but like she did with Ms. Marvel in the main universe to get her strength and flying abilities, now she has magnetic powers. In Astonishing X-Men, she uses those powers to kind of create these fields to make her a little bit more stronger and can give her the ability to fly. So basically has the same abilities as she always has. So that's just a little history of what happened there, right? And she still has some weird dementia. This is why I was wondering, like, how she knew his name. He introduced himself to her, like, "Hey, my name is, I'm Alex," and she keeps talking to him like, "Alex, why are you doing this to me?" She keeps yelling at him, Alex, like she knows him, but I don't quite understand it. So back at the base of Mr. Sinister that was on Liberty Island, which was destroyed, got the Bedlam brothers. And it is kind of interesting. I mentioned the last one. Most of the teams on here are siblings. These two are brothers. Cyclops and Havok are brothers. You got these two, Liz and Sam. They're brother and sister. Then you have Aurora and Northstar, who's going to show up, and they're twins. And Apocalypse made note of that with Mr. Sinister, and he likes to keep like sibling teams intact for whatever reasons. It has to do with genetics and shit like that. So, but he asked these guys to try and investigate Mr. Sinister's base and the explosion, what happened, but they don't really. They have no idea where he went to, aside there was a safe house. And then Angel comes down, and he's just kind of checking things out. He said he heard a Sinister abandoned ship. He's like, the rumors are now that there's going to be a full-scale war with Europe, and that's bad for business. I don't know. That's kind of a stupid reason for him to show up, but gives him just for the writers to have him show up and draw a cool picture. So in the club that he owns, Heaven, here's Havok, and he's like getting it on with the singer. Her name is Scarlet, and she is a singer, Jessica Rabbit kind of person, who entertains people. But behind the scenes, they're hooking up, which is he shouldn't do because he's a mutant, she's a human, and But you also find out that she's an operative for the Human Council. And she's trying to get information, and he's like, the less you know, the better. He has no idea, and she's starting to say she's fallen in love with him, but he's like, don't even say that. It complicates matters even worse. So then she's talking to somebody here about her spy business. Cut back to Lorna, and she's being fucking tortured with this mind thing. Beast is just having a good old time. It's like, even with an inhibitor collar, her body continues to emit a low-level electromagnetic field that interferes with his equipment. So he can't get all the information that he wants just from his equipment. So he has to do it the old-fashioned way with good old-fashioned brain surgery. But before he can start, in steps Cyclops. And he's like, fuck off, dude. No torturing. Especially during the Kelly Pack negotiations, you're violating a direct order. And Beast tells him, like, you're so stupid. Like, that pact is only placating the humans before Apocalypse destroys them. So he's like, I'm not going to halt my work over something so stupid that doesn't even matter. And with Sinister gone, he's in charge of all, like, the mutants to engineer how he wants. And Cyclops like, yeah, you're right, Sinister's gone, but that means I'm in charge. And he shoots and destroys a bunch of his equipment here. And he's like, I'm the ranking prelate. Fuck with me again, and I'll shut you down. It's like, understood? Like, good. And it's like, take her back to the pens and make sure she doesn't get hurt. As he's walking off, she kind of looks and sees him and sees Cyclops as Magneto here. Later that night, goes to where Lorna is, and there's this guy, very secretive who it is, you know, all in shadow. There's something flashing on that eye. I don't know who that is, though. And she's like, oh, I knew you couldn't have, deserted your daughter, but Rusty's ass is getting in the way. Oh, buddy. Buddy boy. Look at his little paw. Huh? I like to mess with his paws. He's like, stop it. I know it's annoying, right? When you're trying to relax and somebody just keeps messing with you. That's how I felt this morning when I was trying to sleep. So whoever this is grabs her and is like, let's go. She thinks it's Magneto. And then, but out of nowhere, here comes a North Star and Aurora. And again, we don't have no idea who this is because he's all in shadows. And he mentions like, oh, they weren't supposed to be here. And they said Havok reassigned us, but how would you know what the schedules are? That's very interesting. He shoots and hits North Star. Still no idea who this could be. I don't think they're trying to keep it a secret, but I still think it's funny that they're keeping him in a shadow. I guess it's more for like, so these guys don't know who it is. And Aurora's like, oh, fuck you. I'm going to make you regret hurting my brother, but then she gets slammed by this big piece of metal. I like these drawings here, this pose with the cloak that he's wearing coming flying through there. This guy's not bad. The more I watch him, like sometimes you don't need to be flashy. Like John Romita Jr. is a great example. You don't need flash when you can just tell a story, right? So they escape. This is a pretty brief confrontation with North Star and Aurora. They take off. Someone comes up to them and it's Havok. And then he takes her to this boat, drops her off. And she's like, you're not coming with me? He's like, no, I gotta stay here. I'm needed here. And he's giving her to this human operative, and he says Cooper, and we must assume that it's Val Cooper, who was also in the newer issues of X Factor. And she says, like, boy, you're the last mutant I'd ever expected to help the underground, but we couldn't risk turning you away if you were serious. And she's like, you're risking a lot, but you've saved a lot of lives. And he's like, I wish I could do more. And from far away, you see that Havok sees him in these binoculars and finds out that it's Cyclops. As soon as he takes off his hood, like, we're like, oh, it is Cyclops. We all knew, right? He's like, I've got you this time, brother. So things are heating up. We see that Cyclops is more of a do-gooder than previously let on. And we see the tension mounting with Havok wanting to take over. So interesting story. I'm really digging this comic more so than some of the others. And I'll be interested to see how it develops. So what about you? What did you think about this this series? Where did it rank with you against some of the other ones? Tell me your thoughts. Give the video a thumbs up and a like and a share. Do all that. It really helps out. Thank you for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.